If you love liberty, declare your independence by signing the Shire Society Declaration at shiresociety.com.
Is Ms. Gordon present?
I'm actually here instead of Michael Gordon.
Are you Ms. Gordon's husband?
That would be me.
Okay.
She's at home with a newborn baby.
Okay, so she was required to be here today,
So the dog's not really even hers.
Okay.
How it got sent to her, I'm not sure. It's certainly my, dog's my responsibility.
Okay.
But also the person that's on this paper is not, it's not her. I mean, maybe the name is similar, but like the birthday, I think their SPAC isn't her either. License number.
What's the state's position on all of this?
State's position is that if the selectmen or the town clerk and the police have gotten the information, then the information there should be correct.
So what's the state requesting because Ms. Gordon has failed to appear?
Well, if she's not here and she's supposed to be, probably a default, Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, the weather's pretty crummy. Baby was born, quite early. So I'm her protector. So, to say that she should come out and have to deal with this, I feel like I should be here. It's certainly my dog.
So would you like a default? So she has been instructed to be here today, and she is not. But I do hear what you're saying. So would you like to continue this for
I have
another
no
arraignment date?
I have no objection if you want to continue it for a rearrangement.
Okay.
Or if you want to set it for a trial.
Okay.
Whatever the court wishes to do at this point.
Okay. I would be inclined to continue it for another arraignment day, give you an opportunity to speak to whomever just to verify that all the facts are correct.
Okay.
And then if all of the facts are correct and we're going to proceed, then she does have to be there on the next day or default will enter against her, okay?
In the effort of saving your time, I mean, I'm a warm body, and I'm here saying that this is my thing, and that they sent it to the wrong person.
So I think that's a conversation you should have with the police.
And I tried, and they said that they couldn't do anything for it, that we had to go to trial first and then kind of go from there.
I can't go to trial against Miss Gordon until she's advised of the charges against her. So
Miss Gordon that I know, this is not her,
okay.
right? So yeah, this person isn't her.
Okay.
But it showed up at my house, so that's why we're here.
Okay. So I
Then
think
I'd just relay that information to the police department and they can check on whatever they have to do and rectify their situation.
I think that's the best course of action. We continue the arraignment, give you an opportunity to
I
verify
have no
everything.
objection to that, and I'll notify the town.
Okay, so we're going to continue it and let the police have an opportunity to review everything, and then it will be up to the police whether or not they want to pursue the charge.
Would they have discretion to adjust that, according to me? Like saying that...
That's a conversation you should have with the police, okay? Okay, thank you, sir.
Will we set this to April 2nd at 8:30?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This matter's on for arraignment, and it had previously been scheduled and it was continued for today because you were not present at the last court date.
Correct.
At this point in time, is the state proceeding in this matter?
We are.
Okay.
And there's actually a replacement complaint there.
Okay, so I have a complaint, and it's still Angela Gordon who is being charged?
That's correct.
Okay, sir, so would you mind stepping back just because it's not your case?
All right.
Thank you.
This is my dog.
You're not an attorney, are you?
No, but it's his pet, it's not my dog.
My
Okay,
dog.
well, that's your defense, but if you could step back, sir, thank you. Okay, so I have two complaints. Both are failure to obtain a license for a dog, and one is a replacement complaint?
That one's a replacement complaint, Your Honor.
Okay, so then the one that had previously been here, are you not pressing that one?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll give you that. So ma'am, there's one charge against you. It's a violation level offense. The allegations are that you failed to license or renew a dog license as required by RSA 466:1 in the town of Alstead in which your dog is kept. At this point in time, would you like to enter a plea in this matter?
Not guilty, I do not own it.
Okay, so I entered a plea of not guilty on your behalf, and we'll continue this matter for trial, okay? Thank you. Were there any conditions that the state was asking for?
No.
June 20th at 1:30.
June 20th? Okay, so the matter's continued to June
I
20th?
will not be here then.
Okay,
I will be out of town. I have a previous engagement. Yeah, we'll do it after the 24th.
After the 24th of June?
Yes.
Okay.
July 12th
Will you be back by then? Okay.
at 1:30.
So the matter's continued to July 12th at 1:30. Okay, thank you. Okay. So I have, this matter's on for trial. There are 2 charges, is that correct?
Your Honor, there should only be one. There's actually a substitute complaint.
Okay.
What should be signed by John Dudek. That's actually, yeah, that is,
The failure to obtain license for a dog?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
That is,
And-
the one signed by John Dudek is the one we're going to be going forward with today. It's meant to have been a substitute for the other complaint.
Okay, actually, it looks like, now that I'm looking at it, that there had been a failure to obtain license for a dog that was null prost on April 21st, I think. Okay, so I have one, does that sound right to you?
I think it's April 2nd.
Oh, okay, the lines are confusing to me as to what the date was. Okay, so
And maybe I can't tell from the notes.
if you want to sit, you can sit with the baby, if that's
Pretty
easier
sure
for
make a
you.
lot of noise if I said.
Okay.
Thanks.
So we have one complaint left, which is failure to obtain a license for a dog, and it's scheduled for trial. Are you prepared to go to trial today?
I am prepared for
Okay.
this room.
Okay. So I'm going to allow her to stand while this is proceeding.
No objection.
How many witnesses do you have?
Just 2, thank you.
Okay. So if you feel the need to sit while this is going on, feel free to do that. And do you have any witnesses that you'll be calling today?
I'd like to call Adam Howard.
Okay. So what's going to happen is it's the state's case, so they're going to go first. They're going to call their witnesses and testify. Once they're complete, you'll have an opportunity to call your witnesses. If you have any objections to any of the testimony, you can make them as the case proceeds, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Whenever you're ready, Attorney Mackey.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Corporal Adam Howard to the stand. Sir, you just remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Adam A. Howard, Howard.
And sir, how are you presently employed?
I'm a corporal with the Alsted, New Hampshire Police Department.
How long have you been with the Alsted Police Department?
A little over 2 years.
And do you have any other law enforcement experience?
Yes, I started with the Charlestown, New Hampshire Police Department. Graduated from the 166th Police Academy.
Were you were you employed by the Alsted Police Department on October the 8th of last year?
Yes, sir.
Now, in your experience as a officer in Alsted, are you familiar with Angela Gordon?
Yes, sir.
How so?
Just because I also live in town, and the Gordon fixed a computer for my son about 10 years ago, maybe.
Is Angela Gordon in this courtroom today?
Yes,
I
sir.
object. It wasn't, we haven't been here 10 years.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know the exact time frame, but it was several years ago. So I was just stating how I know.
All right. Is she in this courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Could you please point her out to the court and just identify her?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
Thank you. On October the 8th, did you receive any communication from Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
All right, what was the nature of that communication?
It was a Facebook, it was a message delivered by Facebook Messenger, thanking me for responding to a call from the previous night, and then went into how their dog was missing. Was described as a Saint Bernard, and the message stated that they had left several messages at RPD, and I took it also as other area PDs, and just keep an eye out for it, basically.
Did you respond?
Yes.
What did you say?
I just said, I believe I said, we'll keep an eye out, I hope you find it, or something to that effect.
Did you save the communication from the 8th from Angela Gordon?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Sir, I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And what is it?
It's a printout of the Facebook message,
And how do you know that?
because it's from my Facebook name's on it. Yeah.
Is it that an accurate
Yeah.
representation of your communication with or from Ms. Gordon?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, stay sworn.
Do you have any objection?
Did you have any further involvement in this matter?
Other than I was the one who mailed the ticket, that was it.
No further
Initially.
questions. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for the witness?
I do. Do I need to stand up there, or can I stand back
You can
here?
stand right there.
Okay. Do you have pictures that it's a dog?
Excuse me?
Do you have pictures that it's a dog?
No, I do not. No.
Have you been to my home and met a dog there?
Nope.
And why did you not just come to the house or call? You know I was pregnant with a high-risk pregnancy because you had responded to the previous and you apologized for the loss of our previous son.
Yeah.
And so you knew the situation and my concerns were with the pregnancy.
I'm just going to object.
Yeah.
There's no question yet.
You have to ask a question.
Why didn't you just come to
it's
the
sustained.
house or call?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question. Could you say it again?
Why didn't you just come to the house or call?
Regarding what?
Regarding the citation that you sent,
As
saying that we failed to register the dog.
Oh,
and-
that, at that point, I had no involvement in that part of it.
Did you sign the citation?
Yes, I did.
So
No,
how,
wait, are you talking about the initial, when the ticket was first mailed out? Or,
any of the correspondence?
my only involvement is, the tickets are filled out and I deliver them, either by mail or by vehicle.
Okay, so you
Just
did
so.
not initiate this procedure?
No, ma'am.
Who initiated this procedure?
It starts with administration as far as,
Is administration here?
part of it.
Okay.
So,
The person that initiated the process, are they here?
the person who looked up the records, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not
Do
sure.
you know who the person is?
Well, we only have two, it's either Penny Gendron or Chief Morrell.
And Chief Burrell has stated to me that he was not the one that done it, so.
Okay, yeah, so I can,
Ask a question. You can't testify
Okay.
while you're asking the questions.
Okay.
You will have an opportunity to testify, though, if you want to.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all. No further questions.
Any follow-up?
Nothing further from stay for this question.
May this witness be excused? Does he need to stay for anything else?
I can't think of any other reason, Your Honor.
Step down, sir. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Do you have other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. State calls Chief Morrell. And while we're waiting, just so the court is aware, although we haven't had a formal agreement regarding an order for sequestration, I have instructed my witnesses that there likely would be, or there generally is, and instructed them to behave accordingly.
Okay. There was not a request. I don't know if her witness is present in the courtroom.
No, I believe her witness may be present in the
Okay.
courtroom.
At this point, would you like to ask for sequestration, or would you?
Yes, Your Honor. I think that that's probably fair.
Okay.
So, yes, Your Honor, the state moves for
So who is
sequestration.
your witness that's present in the courtroom?
The only witness that I wanted to call was Adam Howard, but I thought he was the one that initiated the process. And since he did not, I just want to know who initiated it and if I could question him, which would be Penny Gendron. And she is not present.
Did you call her to be here?
No, I did not know I needed to do that. I thought that since she was the one that initiated it, that she would be required to be here because it would be me, I would be able to ask her questions at the trial.
Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. I was under the impression that, because I don't know the people, their names,
Yeah.
that the witness that you had was a civilian witness. So none of the people who are sitting in the courtroom right now are your witnesses. Okay, so then
Then I guess
you
the
can proceed.
order would only apply to my witnesses. Thank you, Your Honor. Chief, you could just come up and stand. If you could just remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
I'm Chief Stephen Murrell, Murrell.
And Chief, how are you presently employed?
as the chief of police in Alstead, New Hampshire,
How long have you been the chief up there?
since June 6th of last year, 2017.
Do you have any other law enforcement experience in your background?
I do. I was 15 years in the Andover Township Police in New Jersey before coming here.
Could you just please briefly describe to the court the training you've received as a police officer?
I received training in New Jersey in the academy and then ongoing training throughout my career there, including being a sergeant before I left. And then since I've been here, the required ongoing training that police officers get every year and the law package at the police academy for transfers.
And were you working for the Alstead Police Department in October of last year?
I was.
At around about the October the 8th, did your agency receive any voice messages?
We did.
Yeah. Did you receive any voice messages specifically from an Angela Gordon?
We did.
What was the nature of that message?
The nature of the message was that she was reporting that her dog had run out and was missing.
Were you aware that she had a dog?
No.
Did you do any investigation into registrations of that dog?
We checked to see if the dog was registered, which is standard procedure once the dog comes to our attention, and as missing, and we could not find any record of a dog to Angela Gordon.
Did you have any contact with anybody regarding this dog?
Not at that time.
What did you do after discovering that there was no record for registration?
We sent the standard letter that we have. My administrative assistant, Penny Gendron, she sends out a letter whenever we find out that there's a dog that's not registered, just reminding people of what the RSA is and the law that says that dogs need to be registered.
Did you receive any response from that letter?
We did not.
What did you do then?
After that, I had, to keep with consistency, Adam Howard, my corporal, always issues the tickets for that whenever there's a violation of registering an animal, dog specifically. And he issued one shortly thereafter. I think it was in December.
And did you have any response for that citation?
We did not get a response for that one.
What was the next step?
After that, we let it go for a while, trying to give plenty of time to. I knew that there was a personal situation that the family was having, so we were giving them plenty of time to respond, and we just kind of let it sit. And then in January, Mr. Michael Gordon, saw me sitting before a town meeting at night and asked me about the dog situation then.
Did you learn anything during that conversation?
I did. He had asked me to, if I knew how we came about of knowing that the dog was unregistered, and this was several months later, and I didn't remember what that was, but I told him as soon as I could find out, I would let him know. And also during that conversation, he had told me that because I said normally it's during we get rabies certificates sent to us from a vet, and that's how we find out that a dog is unregistered. At that time, I didn't realize it was the phone call because it was several months later. So he said that he goes to a vet outside of New Hampshire so that the rabies certificate does not get sent to the town. So we couldn't have known it from a rabies certificate. And I told him, I said that I didn't know what it was and I would find out and let him know, which I did a little while later through an email.
And did you follow up on that information regarding the dog being dealt with a vet outside of state?
After the initial hearing went by, Mr. Gordon had approached me again about having the citation issued to him instead of Angela Gordon, as the dog was his. And I wasn't completely comfortable with the procedures here in New Hampshire as I was new, and I didn't know if I could just reissue a ticket like that, especially since Adam issued it anyway, not myself. So I looked into it a little bit, and I found out that I could, but I also wanted to make sure that I didn't make an error and issue it to the wrong person since we had already done all this work up until that point. So since Mr. Gordon had advised me that he went to a vet outside of New Hampshire, I only knew of one, which was in Westminster, Vermont. So I went over there in March to just ask them if they had any dogs registered to Angela or Michael Gordon.
Did you receive anything from them indicating whether or not there was?
I did. They weren't, the woman I spoke to thought that there was, but wasn't sure, so she looked it up in the system, and there was a dog registered, a St. Bernard, which is the same kind of dog that had gone missing and was unregistered, to an Angela Gordon, and I just asked for the rabies certificate as that's what we use to generally register dogs in town, and she supplied me with one.
What was the name of this, the animal hospital that you've gone to, or the vet that you've gone to?
The Westminster Animal Hospital, I believe.
And when you went in, the person that you spoke with, where were they?
The tech was right behind the counter there, we're at the receiving area.
And when you said that she looked it up in her system, what did you observe her do?
I observed her to punch into a keyboard on a computer and pull up the information. I couldn't see the information, I could just see that they were looking something up.
And she gave you a copy of that?
Correct.
Your Honor, if I may approach this.
Sure.
Chief, I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
All right, what is that?
This is the rabies vaccination certificate that was supplied to me by Westminster Animal Hospital.
And how do you know that?
Because this is, well, first that this is the one that was given to me. I could tell because of the color on the top left-hand corner, and because the date and time stamp on the bottom is when I was there.
So you know that to be the document that you received that day when you...
Correct.
Great. What does that document indicate?
It indicates that the owner is Angela Gordon and that the pet is Rosie, a St. Bernard.
Your Honor, states too.
Any objection?
I do object. Did you have a warrant to get that? My personal information?
Am I allowed to answer that?
Was there a warrant issued for him to go and get my...
Your Honor, I don't think that it should be in the form of a motion, not necessarily an objection.
Okay, I'm sorry. A
That's
motion?
okay.
I don't
Actually, you know what? It should be. It's an objection to the admission of the... I'm sorry. My mistake.
So your objection is, so an objection normally isn't in the form of a question. It's
Okay.
I object, and the legal basis for my objection
Okay.
is.
I object because there was no warrant issued for that documentation.
Okay, what's the state's response?
Your Honor, there needn't be a warrant for this matter. There's really no expectation of privacy in that document. There are no state laws or federal laws that protect privilege for vet dog or pet owner. Moreover, there are statutes, particularly here in this state and nationwide, that make the certificate specifically necessary or specifically legally authorized to be released to towns to indicate to those towns that the rabies vaccinations are up to standard, or at least within the appropriate time frames. For instance, in the state of New Hampshire, we have RSA 466:1-B specifically authorizing the release of those. So there being no reasonable expectation of privacy in the dog information from a vet, I believe that is admissible.
But that was in the state of Vermont.
Hold on
I'm
one second.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
The RSA that you just cited,
Yes, Your Honor.
what was that RSA?
466:1-b.
Do you have a copy of that handy? Of that statute?
I do. If I may approach.
Yes. You don't have a copy of 436, do you?
436:102.
Yes. Thank you. So just so you understand what I'm looking at, he provided me with a copy of the New Hampshire laws for rabies control, which is RSA 436:102. and RSA 466:1-B, which is the rabies certificate. Okay, and you said, just so I'm clear, where was the vet that you went to?
Your Honor, the vet, according to testimony, was in Vermont.
Okay.
The reason that this statute is relevant to this particular argument is that for there to have been a warrant requirement, there has to have been a reasonable expectation of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Having residing in a state where there is a law specifically indicating that there should be no expectation of privacy, in fact, there isn't an expectation of privacy, it would be unreasonable for someone to believe that they would have an expectation of privacy in an administrative matter like this.
Okay. Your objection is overruled. Thank you, Attorney Mackey.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you have any other questions?
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
You objected, you hadn't started your questioning, correct?
I have not.
Okay. So now it's your opportunity if you have any cross-examination, like.
Steve, when we discussed this, did you state to myself that the reason it was taking so long is because you were unsure how to proceed because you had never done anything like this?
To proceed with what? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what
The
you
reason that it took you so long to address the issue from December is because you had never performed anything like this. You did not know the procedure. Is that correct?
For reissuing to Mr. Gordon, or for, I'm not sure which part of it you're asking about.
I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but when you came to my house and I was shoveling snow.
Oh, for that,
and you brought me a paper
yeah.
saying that I needed to come, you had said did you say that it took so long because you were unsure how to proceed with it?
That could be possible. I don't remember what I said to you at that time.
Did you state in our conversations that this is ridiculous, that it's just $6 or $7 fine?
I object, Your Honor, relevance to this question.
Okay, sustained.
Thank you.
You can ask a different question.
Okay. I don't have any questions for him, Your Honor.
Any follow-up, Attorney Mackey?
Nothing further, thank you, Your Honor.
You may step down, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, state has no further witnesses today, so stay best.
Do you have any witnesses that you are calling today? Okay. Do you have any, do you want to testify?
I do not.
Okay. So do you rest your case at this point in time?
Can I do like a closing argument? Or like
Yes.
and in that closing argument, do I have to just ask questions or can I like state?
Nope. So you can have an opportunity now to be heard in closing argument. Go ahead.
Okay, I think that this is all ridiculous, that we are in the court for a $6 or $7 item and it's costing the state of New Hampshire, the town of Alstead, the city of Keene, quite a bit of money over a fine for a dog that really isn't mine. And had they given me, you know, the courtesy of coming to my house because we're neighbors, I might have addressed it differently. But I was a high-risk pregnant female that had lost a child in 2016, and that my concern was not over a citation that I received in the mail. I was in the hospital in December. I delivered 7 weeks early in January.
So this is not an opportunity to provide evidence, which is what you are providing. So it's your opportunity to provide the legal argument as to why you should be found not guilty.
I just think it's a waste of time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Mackey, would you like to say anything?
Just briefly, Your Honor, statute requires that a dog residing in a town needs to be registered by a certain date. In this case, the Alstead Police Department had information that a dog was in their town that had not been registered. They did a follow-up to discover that that dog was in fact not registered. They then did further investigation to identify that the owner of a dog unregistered in that town was in fact Angela Gordon, who through her own statements in the Facebook message, as well as the message that was relayed to the court by the officer from the voicemail, indicated that the dog did belong to her. Ownership of the dog, admission of the dog was in the town, coupled with the absence of the registration, which if I had a form saying that there is no registration, I'd be able to present that. However, because there is no registration, there's no form to present, that the state has met its burden in this matter.
Okay. I find that the defendant has committed this crime. The state has proved its burden beyond a reasonable doubt, and I find you guilty of the charge. So is the sentence, is it a fine of $6?
That's the cost of the registration. It's a fine of $25.
Okay. So the sentence that is being requested is a $25 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there a penalty assessment that goes along with that?
No, Your Honor.
So I'm imposing the sentence of $25.
Can I request that it be put on file because I have no other convictions, I have no criminal record or anything of that nature?
Do you have any objection to that?
Provided the dog is registered in a timely manner, I have no objection.
I will place it on file provided you register the dog, just
If
so
I'm moving out of that town.
wherever you're moving to. So there has to be proof to the court that it's been registered,
And if I'm
okay?
moving out of state.
Then you have to comply with whatever orders are in that state,
And
yes.
how will I get that back to you?
You can provide it to, are you moving imminently?
I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly where I'm moving, but I will be moving out of Alstead after this.
Okay. Do you know when you're moving?
Now, I'm packing up my house.
Okay. So what I'm trying to figure out, I'm not trying to be push you, it's just wherever the dog is supposed to be, there's a requirement. If you're remaining in New Hampshire, there's a requirement that the dog be registered.
Okay.
So the dog would have to be registered within 30 days of wherever you're moving
Ready
to.
be placed on file?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to hold on the ruling until that happens, and then if you do that and you provide documentation to the court within 30 days,
How do I provide that to you? Do I just bring it into the,
bring a copy of the registration
Okay.
to the clerk's office.
and then they'll just get it to you?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay?
So within 30 days from
Within
today's
30
date.
days of today.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
The dog must be registered, okay? Thank you, you're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
We'd like to invite you to visit freekeene.com. Freekeene.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeene.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeene.com.
I should be in Keene, New Hampshire with the Free Staters.